Okay, y'all, so we are back with the Beatryce prophecy. We are in chapter 32. Brother Edic was lost. Of course he was lost. How could he be anything but lost? He who had set out to find someone with nothing as guidance but the smallest gesture, the innkeeper's wife pointing reluctantly, grudgingly in the direction of the dark woods, he who had always felt so lost in the world in any case. And the dark woods were so dark. Always, Brother Edic had loathed the dark. He could see things hiding in it, contorting shapes, malignant beings. His father had known how he feared it. He had said to Brother Edic's mother, "The boy must learn not to fear so much. Do not take him a light. Do not ever give him a light when he calls for it. Let him scream. He will get over it soon enough." But he did not get over it. In every illumination that Brother Edic painted in the Chronicles of Sorrowing, every rising sun or light dapping tree or shining letter was in a celebration of the beauty of the world, and also in defiance of the darkness that had so terrified him as a boy and terrified him still. Brother Edic stumbled on a tree root. He righted himself and stumbled again. He could hear his father laughing. He could hear him saying, "Who are you to think that you could rescue someone? And why in any case are you attempting to find a girl? Because of some prophecy that has issued from your own straight head?" "No," said Brother Edic aloud, "because she is Beatryce." Beatryce, who had looked up to him and promised that she would write the story of his mermaid. He must find her. He had to go forward. He could not in any case go back. He could not return to the monastery. He would never again be welcome there. There was truly no place for him. The home of his childhood was long gone, and it had never been his home. Even when he was a child, his mother had often said to him, "Do not anger your father. Try to do as he says. Try to be who he wants you to be." But he had not known how to do that, had he? He still did not know how to do that. He knew only how to be himself. And shouldn't home be the place where you were allowed to be yourself, loved as yourself? These are the thoughts swirling through Brother Edic's head when a man suddenly appeared on the path before him. It is wrong, of course, to say that there was a path. The dark woods were pathless. They would not hold a path. Suffice it to say that suddenly in the dark woods there was a man in front of Brother Edic, and the man had a beard, and there was a knife clenched in his teeth. "Oh, Beatryce," thought Brother Edic, I did try. Chapter 33. In Cannock's tree, Beatryce was listening to Jack Dory tell her why it was that she could not go to see the king. "You'll end up dead," said Jack Dory. "It is foolish. It is foolhardy," said Jack Dory. "It is idiotic," said Jack Dory. Cannock was silent. He sat with his head lowered and his hands resting on his knees. "You must let her not to go. You must tell her not to go, Cannock," said Jack Dory. Cannock raised his head and looked at Beatryce. "You said that you are an Aloud." Beatryce nodded. "That is an old and noble family," said Cannock, "a family with much history." "Well then," said Beatryce, "who better than me to bring the king to account?" Jack Dory let out a hiss of exasperation. She has a will that can be dangerous," a tutor had once said to her mother. "Yes," her mother had said in return. "Should I rein in it then?" asked the tutor. He was the first tutor, an oily man whose very word seemed laced with menace. "You should not," said Beatryce's mother. "She will need it." "It is a dangerous thing for a girl child to be so set on having her own way," said the tutor. "Let her have her dangerous will," said her mother, and the tutor had, in the end, left Castle Aloud. He had been dismissed by her mother. And then after much time came the second tutor, the one with curls. He had with him a bag of wonders. Each day he took something from it, and the final thing he had removed from the bag was a seahorse. The tutor, the second one, the last one, the good one, had said to her mother, "Beatryce is in possession of a beautiful agile mind. There's nothing she is not curious about, nothing that she cannot learn." Her mother nodded, and she smiled a small smile, and she said, "Teach her everything you can. Let her be as powerful as she can be. Let her be true to what runs in her blood." "Beatryce," said Jack Dory. "Leave her be," said Cannock. Beatryce looked into the goat's eyes. The goat stared back, and Swellica's eyes glowed with strange shadowed planets. Beatryce knew planets. The last tutor had a special glass that he used to stare up at the stars. And one early morning when it was still dark, Beatrice had stood in a field and the tutor beside her and the special glass in her hand. The dew made the hem of her gown heavy. Her feet were cold. She had held the glass up to her eye as the tutor instructed her to do, and she had seen a glowing orange ball floating in the sky. "What is that?" she asked the tutor. "That is something that most people do not even know exists. It is called a planet. It is another world far from us." Beatrice had stood looking, her shoes wet, and the height of her dew-dampened gown pulled her to earth, and the magic glass to her eye and the tutor breathing beside her, and it was as if someone had pushed aside a dark, heavy curtain and revealed to her a dazzling thing. She had understood then that the world, the space beyond it, was filled with a marvel upon marvel, too many marvels to ever count. Beatrice, remembering, shook her head. She took hold of the goat's ear, and she looked at Jack Dory and said, "I will see the king, and I will hand him the sword, and no one will stop me." The bee buzzed and circled around Jack Dory's head. Jack Dory looked at her without looking away. Here was this boy, alive and staring at her. Rowan was dead, Aesop was dead, the tutor was dead. Beatrice's mother was, she did not know where, but this boy was alive, sitting before her, and he did not know the letter E. "These planets, these other worlds," said the tutor to her that early morning when she looked through the magic glass, must surely have inhabitants with stories of their own. It is only through ignorance that we do not find our way to them. Beatrice looked down at her hands, at the dark spots on her thumb and her forefinger, the ink. "What world is this I now inhabit, and how shall I live in it?" She looked back up into Jack Dory's waiting face. She said, "I will go and speak to the king, and I will find my mother. No one will stop me, but first I will teach Jack Dory his letters. I will teach him to read." Chapter 34. "Each letter has a shape," Beatrice said, "and each letter has a sound, and you put those sounds and shapes together, and they become words. Do you understand?" "Aye," he said to her. His heart was beating fast. He did not know, he did not understand. He had not understood how much he wanted to know this secret of letters and sounds and words, but his heart pounded against his ribcage was telling him. He and Beatrice were bent together over a piece of parchment, and Swellica was leaning over them, staring down at the parchment too. She gave off a tremendous smell of goat. "You," said Jack Dory, "are in my way." She gave Swellica a small shove. He butted her forehead against his, shoving him back. Cannock was gone. Where he had gone, they did not know. He was off on whatever mysterious errand a man who had not once been king and was king no more might need to attend to. "It begins with this," said Beatrice. "This is the letter A, and it is the first one." She formed the letter A. He repeated. He smiled. "There are 26 letters in all, and you will learn each of them, and once you know them, you can mix them as you will, and then use them to form the words of the world and the things of the world, and you can write of everything, what is and what was and what might yet be." Jack Dory nodded. The inside of Cannock's tree was snug. There was a smell of beeswax burning, and also, of course, the smell of goat. The bee buzzed around Jack Dory's head. Granny bit speak beside him, saying, "Learn it, my beloved, learn it, light of my heart, river of my soul." A is for Abelard. That is my family name. A is also the letter that begins with the name Swellica. The goat let out an approving grunt. And the next of the 26 letters is B. She bent her head and formed the letter B, the first letter of my name, Beatrice. And from there to C. "What word begins with C?" asked Jack Dory. "Cannock," said Beatrice. "And when we will get to the Jack Dory letters?" "Soon," said Beatrice. He watched the letters appear one by one beneath her hand, and he felt as if each letter was a door pushing open inside of him, a door that led to a lighting room. "The world," said Beatrice to Jack Dory, "can be spelled." And that was chapters 32, 33, and 34.